Hi guys, Buildzoid here, and this is going to be a bit of a strange video because I'm going to be responding to comments, but of course not comments on my own videos because that would be too normal by my standards. No, instead we're going to be responding to comments on a Hardware Unboxed video, which I think is a great video, this one right here, 4x4 gig versus 2x8 gig. Basically this video tests the performance impact of dual rank memory versus single rank memory in, things that aren't IDA or Firestrike or Cinebench or Geekbench, my usual suite of unrealistic synthetic benchmarks. Now, these guys, Hardware Unboxed tests actual, gaming performance, and they also test, well, not in this video specifically, but in other videos, they do, more real, they do real-world benchmarking compared to what I do. Anyway, so yeah, great video comparing dual rank versus single rank memory performance in gaming workloads. And they also explain what memory ranks are quite well. So yeah, you definitely recommend that you watch this video. Anyway, what I want to address is there's a bunch of comments on this video, or actually, well, it's actually just, I'm not going to be replying to a bunch of comments. I'm just going to reply to a type of comment. So anyway, let's go through this. Yeah, so basically it's this type of comment where it's like there is also something about how the bus is laid out on the PCB that affects 2vs4. Not that one. Not that one. Less memory modules installed, more stability and better overclock. If you know anything about how a T-topology topology works, you know this doesn't work. Like, this is just straight up wrong. Then we have more memory sticks would probably work better on T-topology motherboards. It depends on IMC and topology of motherboard, I think. Why didn't you comment on T-topology influence? I think that's the last one I really want to... Like, you get the idea. Basically, the video has a bunch of comments under it asking about T-topology versus... Actually, just T-topology, because apparently people love the idea of a memory layout that's very complicated, tends to not be that great in the long run, and... Like, honestly, it's just like, as an overclocker, give me daisy chains all day, any day. It's like it's bad enough that the motherboard has 4 DIMM slots on it. You don't have to make it worse, okay? Like, we've already got a problem because there's too many DIMM slots, okay? We don't need to make it worse by adding longer traces. Anyway, so the thing is, with this video, there's no point addressing the T-topology because they're just not running settings where T-topology even makes a difference, okay? So, if you take a daisy chain, because a daisy chain is the simpler layout, if you're running 2x8 memory sticks on a daisy chain motherboard, you're going to be, hitting maybe, say, up to like 4400 megahertz on Z390. Obviously, on Ryzen, this is completely irrelevant because on Ryzen, if you go past your, on Threadripper, going past your FCLK limit, actually kind of a reasonable decision. On a 3900X or any mainstream Ryzen CPU, going past your FCLK limit is just dumb and pointless, and so it doesn't matter what topology you have as long as it's not exceptionally terrible, because even like a daisy chain, even if you stick 4 sticks of B-die in it, is going to go at least to 3666. And the better daisy chains will easily go all the way up to 3800 plus. Like, that's not a problem. So by better daisy chains, I mean like the expensive X570 motherboards everybody keeps complaining about costing too much. It's like, well, it's because they got better memory topology. That's part of the extra cost, along with the PCIe 4.0 support. And the expensive X570 chipset. Anyway, so for Ryzen, with like memory overclocking past 3800 megahertz is irrelevant. But on Intel platforms, if you got a daisy chain, you can probably go all the way up to like 4400 megahertz. And then if you run on a 2x8 or a 2x4 on any, like a 2-DIMM configuration, assuming that the memory sticks themselves are actually capable of that higher frequency, right? Because obviously some memory ICs can't do 4400 megahertz. Not every stick does 4400, but assuming you have 2 sticks that do 4400, you stick them in a daisy chain, they'll probably do 4400. Now, if you take these, sticks that do 4400 megahertz and you take 4 of them and you stick them in a daisy chain, it'll probably top out at around 4000 to like 4266 megahertz. and more like around 4,000. So you basically lose 400 megahertz going from 2x8 to 4x8. Now a T-topology will do the reverse. It'll do, up to 4,400 on like 4x8, whereas up to maybe like 4,266 on 2x8, right? So the frequency limit on a T-topology, if you're running 2 sticks, is much, much lower than on a daisy chain, but your 4-stick memory frequency limit is much higher. So basically the topology doesn't change the performance though, right? Like that's the thing, is like I just said, you get different overclocking behavior. It doesn't fundamentally change the performance. If you run 3000 megahertz CL16 on a T-topology in a 4x4 configuration or a 2x4 configuration or a 4x8 and a 2x8 configuration, assuming all of your subtimings are the same and you're running the same frequency, the performance will be the same, okay? And if you take that same memory and that same set of memory and put it on a daisy chain and you run the same timings and the same frequency, the performance will also be the same. And at 3000 CL16, that translates into terrible performance because that is a horrible frequency to run at. Anyway, so yeah, that's basically it. It's just like there's your T-topology addressed, I guess, comments. Like, T-topology just doesn't inherently impact the performance. It just changes the overclocking behavior. So the maximum overclock you can achieve on a T-topology, and actually, like, what kind of XMP kits you would be choosing for a T-topology motherboard versus a daisy chain motherboard, assuming you don't actually want to manually overclock and you just want to enable your XMP profile, there's going to be a difference in that, right? If you're buying memory kits for your daisy chain board, you can buy a 2x8 kit rated all the way up to 4400 megahertz, and is almost certainly going to work. If you buy that same 2x8 kit, 2x8 4400 megahertz kit and stick it in T-topology, have fun with that. It's probably not going to run unless you buy a second one. So, and even if you buy a second one, like, the problem with running 4x8 or a 4x4, like, having that many memory ranks is that it upsets the CPU's memory controller. So in certain situations, you can end up with T-topology boards where it's like on 2x8 or more like two DIMM configurations. I'm really fixated on 2x8 and 4x8 because that's B-die, and B-die is the best. But well, that's kind of like all the high performance IC. Well, not really all the high performance ICs. It's just like the best per IC right now is 8 gigs. So anyway, the thing is just like, where was I going? I forgot. Damn it. Oh yeah, so on T-topology motherboards, because running a lot of memory is very stressful on the memory controller, as in like running 4 DIMMs of any kind of memory. It's not even about the absolute capacity, because it's just about like the memory chip's interface being heavy versus light, okay? So the part of the memory chip that actually interfaces with the memory controller can put more or less load on it. So if you have a lot of memory connected, like a lot of memory chips connected to the memory controller, it puts a lot of load on it. And so in some cases, you can end up with T-topology motherboards where on like 2x8 or 2x4, or, any 2DIMM configuration, they're going to top out at like 4000 megahertz, 4133 or something. And then you go to 4x8 or 4x4 or any 4DIMM configuration, and it still tops out at 4133 because your memory controller just can't take it. Right, so that's kind of the other, like, that's the flip side to the T-topology design, is just like sometimes it doesn't actually translate into better frequency in a quad DIMM, like in a 4DIMM configuration on a dual channel motherboard, right? We're talking dual channel here. If we were on X299 or TRX40 or X399 or any quad channel platform, we'd be talking about 8 memory sticks for a T-topology. Like way more memory sticks there. So this is all in rev. Like everything that applies to dual channel for 8 quad channel, you just double it. Okay, there. That's the simplest way to put it. So anyway, yeah. Now I think I've said everything I wanted to say. And yeah, the video is great. It just doesn't address topology because that's not really relevant to the performance of dual rank memory configurations against single rank memory configurations. Though, actually, one last thing, fun fact, 4 gig sticks have a lower JEDEC memory speed, lower JEDEC TRFC spec. So if you, like, the video accounts for this. So Hardware Uboxed manually fixed every single subtiming. But if you just enable an XMP profile on a 4x4 configuration versus a 2x8 configuration, even if they have the, actually no, yeah, a 4x4 configuration will have also a TRFC advantage on auto settings because the TRFC spec for 4 gig sticks is lower than for 8 gig sticks. It's basically like 4 gig sticks off the top of my head are 250 nanoseconds refresh cycle, and 8 gig sticks are 360 nanoseconds refresh cycle. So an 8 gig stick basically spends twice as much time refreshing by JEDEC specification. That doesn't mean you can't overclock them to refresh for a shorter period of time, though admittedly most of the chips don't really do that very well. Like a lot of the chips don't really go that low on TRFC anyway, so it's like there's not much room to improve that, but there's not necessarily that much room to improve that. But yeah, like a 4x4, if you're just doing like XMP comparisons, which this video isn't doing because they're manually fixing all the timings so that, they're eliminating the variables of like 4 gig sticks actually run tighter timings by nature of being 4 gig sticks. Yeah, if you just run them with auto settings, 4 gigabyte would also have a little bit of a performance advantage because of the TRFC being lower. So, yeah, there. Now I've actually said everything I wanted to say in relevance to this video. Hopefully this satisfies all of the people asking about T-topology. Yeah, that's it. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Leave any comments, questions, suggestions down in the comment section below. And if you'd like to support what I do here with actually hardcore overclocking, I do have a Patreon where you can support me directly. There's a link to that down in the description below. And what else do I have? Oh, right. There's also the Teespring store for AHOC where you can pick up shirts, stickers, posters, the usual YouTuber merch type thing. There's a link to that down in the description below as well. So yeah, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching and goodbye.